Hey folks, Troy Dooley, the Beachside CEO, and over the last few days I've been studying the temporary restraining order, the TRO, the permanent injunction paperwork that's been filed, the actual complaint that's been filed by the FTC against Vemma. And I want to look at today, and this is probably going to be more for company owners, company founders. It's going to be for those that are actually looking at launching direct selling companies. Without a doubt, everyone, I think, can glean some information from this. But this is really aimed at those influencers that are running companies. And I got to tell you something. There's been a lot of stuff that's been said about Angelique Linville, I think is how she says it. She's the lead FDA attorney on this. We did some research, and she's what I would call an upper-end millennial. She graduated from what is it, Southern Methodist, one of the big legal colleges, I think, right there in Austin, Texas. Very intelligent, very articulate young lady, and I think that some of her motivation, obviously I haven't talked to her, could be under the fact that she got sick and tired of seeing her generation portrayed in a crazy way by the YPR movement. I think that anyone can agree with me that you can read many articles about the millennial generation, and I've even written an article that we're going to put up in the blog. You know, are we motivating or manipulating the millennials? Knowing the kids, men and women, that fought in the Iraqi war and the Afghanistan war, I think sometimes the millennials are not portrayed correctly. I think there's at least half of them that actually have seen more and done more than they should have at that age, and I think there's some that have gone on to get their degrees. They love that university. They love what's going on there. So to see a whole generation portrayed wrong, I think could be part of her motivation. But as I looked through the TRO, there were some disturbing facts that came out. We're going to put the whole TRO up on the website. You guys can look at that. And this may go over our standard 10 or 15 minutes because I think this is important. Matter of fact, it's so important, this may be one of the reasons you want to go to the DS Edge conference in Dallas next month, is to get some of this information from Kevin Thompson, from Jay Lesnar, myself, and others to keep focused on your business, but I digress. Number 4 in her TRO filing says the FTC has not given the defendant notice of the action against them and has not communicated with defendants concerning the FTC's investigation or request for an ex parte relief as set forth above. This is good cause to issue. There is good cause to issue a temporary restraining order and order temporarily sealing the case without notice to the defendants. And I thought, what would cause somebody who has a legal counsel that not only did she serve 25 years in law practice, she's worked for the U.S. District Courthouse there in Phoenix. She's been in practice now with Vemma and the predecessor company for years. I look at this and it's like, you don't treat peers that way. Call her on the phone and talk to her. I don't know one attorney that would waste their career, would risk losing it all to protect a client if they were doing something illegal. So, I mean, that's not saying there's not some out there. Crap, man. There's people in all kinds of industries that just suck. But it's these TROs. I love my country, but sometimes our government sucks. I'm just going to tell you that, the way they operate. Listen to this, number 6. It says, irreparable harm may be presumed in a statutory enforcement action by a law enforcement agency. She goes on and she mentions the U.S. versus Odessa Union Warehouse. Warehouse, yeah. And it says, no specific, and this is what frustrates me, no specific or immediate showing of the perceived way in which a violation of the law will result in public harm is required. In other words, she's filing all this. She's asking for the TRO. In the beginning saying, hey, there could be cause. Here she's saying we don't even have to show cause. We don't even have to prove that there could be. We don't have to show you one action that Vemma is doing that causes us to think that they might steal the assets, hide facts, do anything. And especially when we know that she's got 1,400 pages of evidence and hours of videotape. So I'm thinking, okay, whatever. It just doesn't seem right. I know laws are here. We've got the best judicial system in the world. But it's things like this that are just stupid to me. It's like, pick up the daggum phone, do it right outside the office if you want to and say, I want to talk to your legal counsel. Show up with a freaking warrant for all I care and say, I want to talk to your legal counsel. You don't have to manipulate the system, if you will, to benefit yourself. I question the FTC's strength, even with 1,400 pages of accompanying evidence, if they can't communicate. And she shows many cases. Do not get me wrong. I'm telling you, this attorney was thorough. But none, well, I don't think any of them that I could tell were network marketing direct selling companies, you know, that she was using as her evidence. Had she gone in and used any type of other, if she'd used network marketing companies to show, but you can't do that. Burn Lounge, I mean, none of them did this. This was just crazy. It says the applicant for TRO and a memorandum in support are supported by more than 1,400 pages of accompanying evidence, including corporate records, so they'd already gotten subpoenas to get some corporate records, it looks like, advertising and marketing materials, now this is where I'm going to talk to owners in a second, and copies of 48 recorded sales presentation and conferences. Now this is what's important. We no longer live in an age where there's not videotapes, I mean, where it's just videos, tapes. What we live in is a instant Periscope. We've got YouTube that you can streamline. All this stuff now you can stream live and roll forward. So when there's meetings that are out of compliance, anything that's there, it's wrong. I was talking with Greg Caldwell over at White Hat Solutions. They're a very large, or if I wouldn't say that, they're just a successful auditing and investigating firm that works with direct selling, and worked with Greg for years. And he said, Troy, these are some of the things that we try to work with our clients, is to tell them we need to go out there and audit the field. We've got to make sure that everything is within compliance. You know, when we look at this stuff, guys, 48 recorded sales presentations. Company owners, I know you guys think it's okay to just let your teams, hey, Troy, they're going to create their own training. They're going to create their own identities. No, not. Okay, when you look at the high-end side of our industry, when you look at Legal Shield, when you look at Primerica, when you look at Keller Williams, they don't get to create their own training stuff. It all has to go through the compliance department. The compliance department will approve or disapprove. The company usually takes control of it so that there's not a bunch of egos running around. And I believe that that's what's needed, period. No more online lead generation, no third party. I know this is going to piss off a lot of my friends that have tool companies. It's not about the tools. This old adage that we have that, hey, Troy, you know, the rush of 89 or 49 wasn't for gold. It was for selling the tools. The people that made all the money was the Levi guys and the guys selling the picks and shovels. Well, then the companies, I guess, need to get into that business, because this right here is part of the problem. You know, now, did the company create the wrong marketing material? That's a question here. I've either been with BK, working with him as a consultant, or have just studied their company, and they're constantly creating or correcting anything that's out there. They're constantly looking at, is there always something that could be out of compliance? I believe so. But I believe when a company is found to have something out of compliance, when you tell them about it, legitimate companies are going to fix that. That's just the way it is. You know, I had somebody the other day say, Troy, why is it that you are so strong on this one when you haven't been on others? And I'll tell you why. BK Brieco is not just a former client, he's a friend. BK was the first actual client that believed in me. You know, and I tell you, I had 4 original clients. I had BK and Vemma. I had Wayne Hillman over at Life Force, and Wayne's gone on and passed away to be with the Lord now. I had Richard Brook, who has not only been a client, he's still my mentor. I mean, he's constantly tweaking and helping me go in the right directions. And Gary Racer over at Lima, who is also a mentor, picks up the phone and is constantly working with me. But these 4 guys gave me my start in the consulting business, and BK was there. And even after he left, it's our friendship that's stayed. And we don't agree with each other all the time. I mean, we've had some interesting conversations. So this isn't just a BK at all costs. I want to go through in detail, because every company owner can learn from this. If Vemma and BK were a benchmark, they were a class that everybody was looking up to, and the FTC's come in and mentioned all this stuff, then it's a problem. And looking at this TRO, every company out there needs to pay attention to how this TRO was granted and the wording that was used in it. Let's look at number 8. It says the evidence filed in this action demonstrates the defendants operated an illegal pyramid. It doesn't say purported illegal. It doesn't say maybe an illegal. It's flat out saying a pyramid scheme. She's not even pretending that she has an unbiased opinion here, in other words, she's given any room for leeway in this one. Now, she does in others. B, falsely represented that members of the Vemma program affiliates are likely to earn a substantial income. Now, I'm going to disagree with her respectfully on that. When you look at the income disclosure statement, when you look at the compensation plan, if you do your due diligence, as most businessmen and women who want to be successful will do, then you realize there's a calculated risk in joining any sales profession, period. Not direct selling alone, any sales profession, period. The failure rate in any sales industry out there, the majority of the people will not do what it takes to make a substantial amount of money or even a livable wage. And what we train our clients on is it's not about a $50,000 a month income. It's about helping somebody make $200 or $300 a month, because that's going to change their lives. And BK once told me personally, he said, Troy, my whole focus in my comp plan is to have more people earning $500 a month than any other direct selling company in the world. So I kind of know where his focus is based on what we've shared, based on strategies that we worked at, tweaks in the comp plan that he was sharing. So I think she's wrong on that. Now, I'm not going to say that there are affiliates in the field that did not promote some astronomical thing. We've talked about this in the past. Anytime you look at something and the bling and the lifestyle and all that crap is out there, there better be a connection back to that IDS, to the company, or the company, hopefully in this case, has been trying to find all of them and reprimand them. That's going to be part of this issue, is how much did the compliance department, how much were they able to do to correct these issues? Let me go on. Did not adequately potential income claims, and it says failed to disclose or disclose adequately the Vemma structure, that the Vemma structure ensures that most consumers who become affiliates will not earn substantial income. This is very important right here. She's already admitting that when you join Vemma, you were joined as a consumer, and then those who decide to become Vemma affiliates will not earn substantial income and provide the means of instrumentally for the commissions of deceptive acts. Here's the deal. She's saying that they didn't share with people that if you decide you want to go on and be an affiliate, that your odds are you aren't going to make that much money. Well, I disagree with her on that. But the whole premise of her deal here, they were consumers. The majority of the people, if not all the people, that have joined Vemma, it was for one of the products. I personally, it's the Next vitamins for my kids. And BK graciously, because of work that we've done, will send me to keep the kids in the Next vitamins. They just love them, and I've shared that in the past. Everybody's got a different one. It also says here, this is good. It says, Vemma affiliate, they provided Vemma affiliates with promotional marketing materials that contain false and misleading representation to be used for recruiting new participants. I've looked through all of the marketing collateral that I've ever been sent, and I never saw anything like that. So I don't know if she's talking about, again, stuff the company provided or top leaders provided, people like that. Whatever the case is, all companies need to totally focus 100% on what the marketing material is. I purposely believe that every piece of marketing collateral that has to do with your compensation and your income opportunity should be for educational and training purposes only. It shouldn't be something that's plastered all over the internet. It shouldn't be something that's talked about in public. It should be on one-on-one. It should be for education. It should be to help train other affiliates that want to go out there and build something, not something that you're just promoting. Hey, look at me. We got the best opportunity out there. Even after, with all this stuff, I'm going to do a video later this week of an organization right now. They're showing the commissions that they have made without explaining anything. It's just stupid. Let's go back. This goes on to why the TRO was granted, how she presented herself. Number 9, defendants have operated their unlawful pyramid since 2004. Again, this is an attorney, and I understand that she works for the FDA. In her opinion, she is claiming that this is an unlawful pyramid, but with the way she writes it here, it's as if the judge has already decided, a court of law. And that's what's wrong with government regulators, is when they go in there and they put this stuff in and say, this is what this is. We don't know that that's what that is, which is why she's getting the TRO, but it's these types of words. If I'm a judge and I'm looking at this and I've got this wonderful, respected, articulate attorney in front of me that works for a regulatory agency, well, heck, I'm probably going to sign off on this. I'm not going to do my own due diligence. Seems like that there's an essence of urgency here. Doesn't matter what the preponderance of the facts are. It doesn't matter what the preponderance of the truth is. You know, we're just going to rock with this thing. This is, hey, they put this thing together. By God, they're the FDA, or FTC. They got to know what they're talking about. Not necessarily. And this is this is the one that really gets me. She says, defendant operates in over 50 countries and have caused hundreds of millions of dollars in consumers' injury. She doesn't know that. That's not even a fact. That is totally preposterous, because she has no way of knowing, nor based on the FTC complaints that we've seen, no one has been caused hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. Let's go out there and exacerbate the facts. Let's go out there and act like children and just explain this the way we want to. We're just going to exaggerate everything, and then maybe the judge will think, oh my gosh, I've got to do something. And this, I tell you, this is what makes her a great attorney. I would love to have her on my team, you know, because she's going to go out there and she's going to protect me. And in this case, in her mind, there's no doubt, I've studied her enough now to know, in her mind, she is protecting the American consumers. That's what she does for the FTC. Now, she may also be protecting a friend or somebody that's come to her, and that's what started this. We don't have a clue. But there's no doubt in my mind she's doing what she feels is right. It's just the way that she's wording this in here. You know, she's trying to favor it. She's not trying to get the facts. She's not trying to look at the other side. If she wanted the other side, she'd have gone to the other side and said, hey, I need to talk to you about this. You know, you're the chief legal counsel of the company. We need to talk. Who's your boss? You know, whatever the case is. Nothing. Not one iota. Says, now this one really just burned my butt. Prior regulatory action. Defendants have a history of deceiving consumers and have been investigated and sanctioned by authorities for their deceptive conduct. I got no problem with that. This is the one I got a problem with. On February 5th of 2014, Vemma was determined to be operating an illegal pyramid in Italy. Okay, I do not care, and I don't think it should be able to be used that Italy, whose laws are different than the United States, whose company is based in the United States, you're bringing this up. You're not showing in here anywhere where the FTC has had an issue, the FDA has had an issue. You're not showing any of that. The FDA wouldn't matter in this case right here because that would be a claim, a product claim. But in here, nothing from the FTC. She has to stretch to a whole nother country to be able to try to say, oh, look, man, they're operating an illegal pyramid. Well, you know what? There's certain government agencies that definitely wouldn't operate in another country, but there's major corporations that wouldn't be able to operate in another country. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't Google being investigated for some kind of European FTC issue right now because they're saying they're screwing the consumer? Are they a pyramid? I mean, think about this for a second. We don't use that. That makes no sense whatsoever, yet she wants to draw from another country to try to prove her case. Makes me wonder if the case is that strong. And maybe it is. 1,400 pieces of evidence. I mean, you know. Here's the other one. Possibly a large monetary judgment. Now, here's where greed gets into it. Here's where I don't care what you say. When people start telling me, hey, there's a possibility we're going to get a large amount of money. Well, that sounds like she's making an income claim to me. Now, she's telling the judge, hey, by the way, we may make lots of money in this deal. Well, we know that receivers make a lot of money in these deals. That's what they're supposed to do. You know, but here's what it says. It says defendant's illegal pyramid scheme. There she goes again. She's not saying purported illegal pyramid scheme. She's saying illegal pyramid scheme has likely victimized hundreds of thousands or millions of consumers. Okay, again, consumers. She didn't say anything about affiliates. Well, I'm telling you what, those products are rock solid. I hope in their day of court they're able to say, hey, based on this, that, you know, here's how many consumers we had. Here's how many people have used our products. I'll tell you what, this one's what blew my mind. I was on Amazon last night. Go over there and try to buy a case of Verve for retail price. I dare you, because it is going for 3, 4, 5 times the value, the retail value right now. I mean, this stuff, people want the product or there wouldn't be a market for those high prices. It's amazing. But here's the deal. The possibility of a large monetary judgment provides defendant with ample incentive to conceal or dissipate otherwise recoverable assets. She wants the assets. She is alluding to the fact that BK and his corporate team, who all have impeccable reputations in their own fields, their own expertise, if you will, would somehow try to screw the U.S. government from getting the assets to, quote-unquote, pay back the victims. Now, the issue here is who are going to be the victims? Well, they're going to say everybody that was in the comp plan that didn't make any money is a victim. whether or not they really cared about making money or not. That's the kicker here. Okay, that's what frustrates me. She's got concerns about foreign jurisdictions and transfer into foreign bank accounts. I fully understand where she's coming from that. But again, I believe that if she'd have talked to them, that wouldn't have been an issue. She wants to play on commingling of corporate funds between Vemma and Vemma Holdings. But when you actually look at the way those corporations are set up, what they do, how they do it, it's not just a commingling. It's not like we're breaking a corporate shell or anything like that. Here's the other one. This is the one that gets me. And it says, defendants in FTC cases often attempt to conceal assets. And she leads off with a company operating out of somebody's house. She said the FTC often immediately attempts to dissipate or, oh, wait a minute, here it goes. In the FTC's law enforcement experience, defendants who receive advance notice in their filings of actions, and listen, I'm being a little bit sarcastic here, but this is irritating. By the FTC often immediately attempt to dissipate assets. Here's our first case. FTC versus your Yellow Book, and here's what it says. Because defendants operated the business out of their home, the FTC requested and was granted a provision requiring a turnover of business documents. Rather than immediate access to the business premise, since it was at home, they just said turn them over. Vemma had just built and renovated a multi-million-dollar headquarters. They have a bottling facility that's a sister company that they do business with. They have 200-plus employees. I don't think we got this issue. They're not operating from their house. If you're worried that BK keeps extra documents in his house, well, then file a subpoena, a warrant to go into the premise, make sure it's not there. I'll go down that road. I got no problem with that. But to pretend that Vemma is like a home-based business, that's what you're leading off with, is preposterous. When you look at some of the others that she mentions in here, I can see her concern. Now, I'm not making light of the concern. What I'm making light of is if she hadn't have gotten all in a tizzy, if she'd have actually talked to their legal counsel, if she'd have made sure that they understood, look, you know, we'll go after you on criminal if you try to eliminate any of the documents, anything like that, I don't think there'd have been this big issue. You know, now you add on to that fact that they put a receiver under a temporary restraining order. They put a receiver in, and then the receiver hits the database. All these possible hundreds of thousands or millions of consumers, the FTC just did their own damage to. You talk about dissipating assets. That's what that was. What gives the right of a receiver? And I know it's going to be under the law. Don't get me wrong here, but this is my point. Listen, what gives a right to the receiver to hit the database when in the court the judge could say, oh, no, we're going to raise this. You guys go back to business as usual, and we want you to work with the FTC because we definitely see some issues here. We're going to be before this court for a while. But instead, you hit the database, and now anybody that hasn't followed this, consumers who haven't gotten their products, who wondered, man, it's been a week, why haven't I gotten my products? They charge back their credit cards. Now all of a sudden chargeback rates go up, nobody answers, merchant services kill it. It's a possibility. You've got international businesses that can't get products shipped over to them who are not in those countries under any type of TRO, are not under any type of investigation, whose country has not said, hey, this is a pyramid, and they can't get products. In one single action, basically, the FTC, through their receiver, has started dissipating the assets of Vemma. And to me, it wouldn't matter if it's Vemma, it wouldn't matter if it's Jeunesse, it wouldn't matter if it's Visalis, I don't care who it is, it could be Amway or Herbalife. To me, that does not seem right. That seems to be actually hypocritical of why you want the TRO in the first place. She goes on to say, defendants in FTC cases often attempt to destroy business records. I'm sure every crook out there running a pyramid or a Ponzi scheme wants to get rid of the records, if there are any. But they don't usually operate out of a big old gigantic office. And I'm not talking about guys like Murray Madoff. I'm not talking about the Stanford financial situation. I'm not talking about Enron. I understand there are crooks at every level of society. I'm talking about somebody that's vocal every day. He's out everywhere. You know where he's at. He's not hiding. He has 6 kids to feed, and she treats him like a common drug dealer or a gun runner. Oh, I think he could leave the country. Oh my gosh, they could hide the assets. What father? Let me ask you this, and I know she's young, and she just may be a current mother, just have 1 or 2 kids. She may not. I'm a father of 8. So I'm asking, what father, any father out there, what father do you know who's running a business, who you see out there with their kids all the time, is going to jeopardize a life with their kids who are all under the age of 7 or 8. A little bit of due diligence, a little bit of grace to say maybe these guys are just freaking caught up in the moment. America was built on people that got a second chance. First of all, they were built for people that said, you know, enough's enough. And it's frustrating to me, and I'm not some yahoo that, you know, let's go turn the government over. I mean, I don't like the administration. I'll vote for a new one. But this is crazy right here. To me, this is a regulatory branch of the service whose hired guns have gone rogue in this stuff. Now, she did mention into here why they wanted to seal this. It makes total sense to me. Myself, the critics, everybody, we are monitoring all of the law services constantly to see what new cases are coming out against network marketing, direct selling companies. So she put it under seal for that reason. That makes sense. But here's the one. In conclusion, the defendants have demonstrated through their deceptive conduct that they have little regard for the law. That is a bold-faced freaking lie. And here's why. And all it took was a little due diligence. Back a few years ago when the FDA came, you can see this on YouTube, BK understood fully, man, we don't ever want to cross that bridge again. We want to do this stuff right. Them and Dr. Wong go through immense practice on stuff when they're putting it together, the formulations. I've watched him bring out products that I've promoted for them because it's like, dude, this rocks. I'm using it. I love it. And then he's called me, or his compliance department has called me and said, Troy, you can't say those things. You need to get that off there. Their compliance department was all over me all the time because I'm a third-party dude. I'm just loving stuff. I'm going. I'm not. I could be a rogue gun out there, you know, because I'm like excited. But they would call and say, you need to remove this. You can't say that. You can't do this. It's not. They're not trying to skirt the law. They don't have this disregard for the law. When Vemma PM came out, man, I thought it was a phenomenal product. BK said, no, we're going to take it off the market. I think there could be issues. We're done. Not going to do it. There's other products they've had. And there's products that have been in R&D that never came out that I thought would kick butt. So for them to say disregard, no. Are there income claims and enticement claims? Is YPR the only problem? I doubt YPR was the only ones out there. They just happen to be the biggest. But of all the companies that I've seen, BK has learned from the mistakes of people's past plus his own. And he wouldn't have a blatant disregard for the law. Or how did she say it? Little regard. Little regard. Don't let me put words in her mouth. She wrote little regards for the law, and I disagree with that. Blatantly, I think that's a lie. I do not think he has little regard for the law. I don't think Vemma Corporate has little regard for the law. I think there are some people in every direct selling company, there's jumpers, there's gamers, they're all this, they have little regard for the law. I see it all the time. I fight it all the time. Because at the end of the day, it's about the people in the field. It's about the people that are trying to grow companies, their dreams. If this TRO, we're going to put this up, every company owner needs to study this TRO. We're working with our own clients to make sure that they fall within this TRO. We're looking at everything. I told you, we're going to be doing videos on each part of this. Because although I may not agree with Miss Angelique, I can tell you this much. She's thorough. She does what she thinks is right based on the consumers that she is protecting through the FTC. For that, I give her high regards. I think as young as she is, she's going to make one heck of an attorney as she continues to go forward. She's already had an incredible career. I just think in this case right here, she got it wrong. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be fines for enticements and income claims. I'm with her on any company that's doing that. She needs to be on top of them, man, like flies on peanut butter. But when it comes to calling Vemma, of all companies, a pyramid, I tell you what, I've got a dozen or so right now I could put in front of her and say, why don't we look at these from a pyramid standpoint, because they sure fit the description of what you guys call a pyramid. Here's what I know. You guys got to get your acts together out there in the field and do it right. Companies, don't overreact and go all the way one way to the other. I mean, look at everything, balance it out, get with the compliance teams. Call me if you've got questions. Call some of the attorneys. I don't care who you call. You know, we're going to look at it from the field standpoint. We're going to look at what is it that you got to work on, and we're going to move forward with it. We're going to continue to watch this case. I'm going to continue to support my friend BK Borrego, the people that are there. I just kills me that going into the winter months, we got 200 employees right now out of work. We've got over 300,000 people that are out there in the field as consumers and affiliates, can't get their product, can't make a living. That's frustrating to me. And I watched the FTC, through one single action, start to dissipate the assets. And that's the thing that they actually said they didn't want to do. It's going to be interesting to see how much of the database is left for them. It's going to be interesting to see if there's any business left for BK. And many of you could say, well, it's BK's fault. You know, hey, he should have been more due diligence. It's his team's fault, whatever. In this case here, had the TRO not been asked for, had the FTC walked in and talked to them, the company could still have been closed down if that's the way a court would have decided. That's for a court to decide, not for individuals. But I guarantee you right now, money would still be rolling in, assets would still be in place, businesses would still be going. There'd be a change in some of the marketing material, and YPR would have already, I mean, it was already dying, but would already have had a leash put on it. But in this case, the government, in an overreactive move, in my opinion, with the TRO, slit the throat of Vemma and has caused probably hundreds of millions of dollars in damage to people worldwide who actually were growing independent businesses. They were entrepreneurs, home-based moms, single dads, families. This isn't as cut and dry as the FTC and Miss Angelique thinks it is. Live life like it's an epic adventure. And if you're in network marketing, act like it.